that random?
It's a true story.
Is it real?
No.
Yes. Okay.
Long eyeballs.
True story. So I do have long eyeballs. That's a different one. I don't have that. Like how people play Wordle every day. There's this game called Contexto, and I'll play with students when it's a bad day and I need to kill time. And you guess the word of the day. And you guess random words, and it'll give a rating out of all the words, how close it is to the word. So you'll guess like building, and it'll give you 5,000. And if you're getting the hundreds, like sky, 100 is close. Number 2 closest was blue, and the word of the day today was eye patch. So I was like, is there something that I'm missing? Why is blue? Is there a movie I haven't seen? It's the universal creative principle that's pushing us all. This is what I start every set this way. It's my new religion. Okay. That's nothing. All right. Okay, so I live in Franklin, Tennessee, and I've been writing letters as a guy named Franklin to someone who lives in Franklin, Kentucky, also named Franklin. So this is one of those letters. Dear Franklin, did you know basil plants could grow flowers? If you just leave a basil plant out there and it doesn't die, it'll sprout these tiny little flowers. Flowers? I don't know what you're supposed to call them because I did not look it up. I'm just looking at them right now empirically, these little flowers. Empirical little flowers. Like that monk and his peas. What was his name? Punnet? They never include that part of the basil on the pizza or pasta, so how could I ever know? And I know this is the kind of thing that I'll tell somebody and they will laugh and respond, how did you not know that? But the thing of it is, everything is online now. So technically we can look up anything and everything. So how could you not know anything? Here's the truth of it. How I could not know everything is exactly why I don't know anything. Nicholas Luhmann was a German sociologist who wrote everything he knew on index cards, 90,000 in total. From this, he published around 70 books and 400 scholarly articles. Did you know that? Basil was an early Christian, a monk before monks were monks, who thought that it was cool for kids to read Homer and the Bible, not just one or the other. You don't need to ban books if you're smart about it. He wrote that during a time when banning books was even more popular than it is now. I have a question. How much nature do I have to bring inside before the indoors become outdoors? Can nature ever be indoors, or does outdoors equal nature? Here's what I do know, though. If you're going to go a few beers deep in at your house, do it somewhere your neighbors can't reach you. And not because your neighbors are judgy, but because one of them might need your help moving something. It's a two-man job, they say, and it'll be the heaviest thing you've ever lifted in your life. Solid wood, Rubio monocoque, 108 layers, upstairs, both ways, sideways, 108 landings. Your legs will feel queasy and your feet uneasy. No amount of sport mode will make your Crocs efficient for lifting. You'll remember your friend in grad school who wrestled in high school. He had a meat locker that took up half of his second floor studio, and he studied dreams and blue gods. You remember how he took pity on you with your ramen diet legs, so he taught you how to lift at the YMCA. You remember how after your first session with him, when you had both gotten dressed, you told him to run ahead to lunch because you wanted to catch your breath in the lounge for a second. The locker room of the Cambridge YMCA had a sitting lounge attached to it that smelled like sweat and chlorine and sounded like fluorescent lights. So your buddy ran ahead, and from the nausea within, you waited as your pasta noodle legs turned from al dente to whatever the opposite of al dente is. You wondered how many times you'd have to do this before you too could manage lifting a meat locker up into a second floor studio. This thought makes you even more queasy. If there are truly 108 ways to delude oneself, you can probably shed 10 or 20 of those in the gym with a bar alone. The Cambridge YMCA lounge with its chlorine fluorescence had decades-old Sports Illustrated and a TV playing the Travel Network on loop. You can't remember ever seeing a moment of Sports Center on the TV, but you did see an entire season of Ghost Adventures.
Yes!
One day you got so engrossed in the episode sitting there alone, your dried sweat fusing your skin to the back of the chair through your shirt, that you didn't notice Sandy, one of the 66-year-old regulars who swam laps every day, leave behind you. When the door slammed, UCP. When the door slammed, you jumped, and you can remember the tearing sound it made. You jumped out of your skin, like you believed that ghosts were not only real, they were here and fans of the show too. The gym had forced you to confront a lot of beliefs you had about yourself, and there, in that locker room, you confronted your own skepticism. But empiricism does not necessarily demand that all things be tried to be known. You remember how Sandy had introduced himself to you in that locker room one day as you were tying your shoelaces alone. He was stark naked at the time, towel draped over his right shoulder, covering nothing. I'm a retired music teacher, he said. Now I'm just trying to have fun, he said. And thinking on that first day, you don't remember any of the techniques, the tips, or the lessons that weightlifting scholar of comparative religion originally imparted to you. But you do remember the way that the old YMCA regulars laughed when you puked in the trash can after you left. I'll have what he's loving. Puked. No piss in the chip jar. Didn't poop in the trash can. You puked. None of that training will return to you now under your neighbor's wooden table, but the familiar queasiness will, as well as the urge not to disappoint. I just keep thinking about shitting in a bucket. None of that training will return to you now under your neighbor's wooden table, but the familiar queasiness will, as well as the urge to not disappoint your sympathetic friend, your buddy who believed at one time that the world had a deep cyclical nature to it, that you can trace your finger around its repetitions like the 108 stitches on a baseball, like the rings on a tree that will one day become a coffee table. The end result today, even now, under the table, up the stairs, will be similar. I guess that is, in some way, a cycle. My wife proofreads these letters sometimes. You know I'm not good about spelling and little errors like that. Maybe it's because I think of them as little errors in the first place. My wife made me add that line. She said the last few have not been funny, so I tried to keep this one shorter, thinking it might be a better shot at being funny if it wasn't long. She's shaking her head at me now, I think because I failed to make it short enough. This is how you know. Franklin.
Thank you, Alan. He called the shit poop. I'm going to read a couple here.